Hello, this is John, and welcome to yet another edition of Station Identification. And you're in the weeds of something when stuff like what I'm going to talk about happens. I recently posted my video on canons, which I include my personal canon. And in putting out the video, I talk around my personal canon on how they illustrate me. But I don't ever get to the nugget, the why they're there. I give the canon, but not the personal. The list, but little navel gazing. And on some of them, you can glean. But for the most part, all I'm doing is just describing aspects of the films. And that's all fine and good, but you can find those things anywhere. Yeah, I said some personal things. Some things about Willy Wonka that, that just got to my core. But not why it represents me. And in the end, that's what makes a personal canon personal. So here we are in episode 3 of Station Identification. And, well, it is actually, in fact, the super secret episode of episode 2, part 3 of Station Identification. Look at me getting all meta. Now, as a child, I lived a lot between my ears with a real active imagination. And that fed into my watching films on TV, as well as TV shows and all sorts of other things. I was a child of divorce in an era where it wouldn't be common yet. The 70s was the time where that begins to become more and more common. I don't know a life where my mom and my dad were married. They got divorced soon after I was born, or within such a window that it's before my memory. By the time I graduate high school, many more of my cohorts were sadly like me, but not early. So I tried to project normal, which projecting normal forced more and more of me between my ears. And it is probably a strong reason I turned to things such as TV and watching movies on it. As I armored myself from the inside. And what I watched became raw material for that armor. I tried not to draw attention. Now, some of my canon reflect adventure, fantasy aspects, a race across the South, a rescue on a cross-country train trip, an epic space fantasy. To not be here, to be somewhere else, not viewed as I was. And then there's also characters who were very well spoken, always with the right thing to say, and of course, it helps immensely to have writers supplying those lines. But as a child, I didn't quite understand that part of the equation. That there was a staff, there was an editor, they had multiple chances to get it correct. my stage fright often prevented me from speaking up, combined with not wanting to draw attention to myself, becomes a wicked 1-2 punch. Now later, of course, I built up the confidence to put forth my opinion that it helps being an intelligent person, and as teachers realized, I would supply the correct answer when asked, especially if there were problems throughout the room and nobody else knew the answer. They knew I knew it. And that became an aspect of my armor as I built up. I was also growing up and learning that it was an aspect I could control. But I always appreciate those who quick-witted, those who could throw down verbally. And as I learned that these things were written, I sought to write better, which served me very well. To be a creator, making things that were not there before, or remake them into something else. Along with this, I became a fan of the technical aspects of making film, and as such, looking at special effects and filmmaking. You notice many of these films on this are outstanding technical wonders there, or they look good. Now, there's also the aspect of saving the day, the riding to the rescue, or being the reliant one. And that was an aspect I never really understood that I sought. As a child, I remember a field trip we took. I don't remember where, but as a class, we were in some woods, and there was a river nearby. And there was a bit of a flood as they were releasing a storage pool. We could hear the bell. And I remember making sure I'd be the last one out of the area. We weren't in any danger, but I knew it was important to do that, to be, to make certain there was nobody behind me, to make sure everybody else was taken care of. And those are lessons learned from a childhood where I felt tenuousness, where it was one step away from losing everything. So saving the day, or being quote-unquote the one, that I'd be worthy perhaps. And there's aspect of good versus evil, or bad, right and wrong, and the knowledge that, like it or not, I can be a bit of a romantic, which tracks with everything else. Connected to that, of course, is giving voice to the downtrodden, whether it a prisoner on death row that a reporter is trying to save, or a simple race car driver who finds out that the world he knows is not the real world, joining the rebels, holding the line against the villain. These speak to my sense of right and wrong, sense of right and wrong colored by these films. Just because somebody's the police officer doesn't mean that they're the right one. That maybe the right one is the guy trying to get all those cans of Coors from Texas to Atlanta. Now, ultimately, one of the biggest reasons these make up my canon is because if I could be a filmmaker, I would have wanted to make them, or films like them. If I could be a creator, I would want to do that. And I am a creator, and I do make things. But if I was a filmmaker, these would be the films I would want to make, to mount the rescue from the train, to make the bootleg run, to a love story full of melancholy and missed opportunities to save the day at the last possible moments as the ship sinks beneath you, or saving the world even though no one knew it was in danger. Now, I personally find myself embarking on a new phase of my life. I didn't choose it. We really get to put the terms on our life's journeys. But I'm using this opportunity to try and reestablish my creative side. And it's a side I felt I let die dormant. Or I'd only play with it in a confined area. Like letting your dog go pee in the backyard. Because you don't have time to take them for a proper walk they need. Because other concerns were more important. We all live lives like that. But I have an opportunity. I chose to make those choices. I didn't choose to carve out those opportunities in the past. But I've been given a gift of time. And it's truly a gift. If even only temporary, while I find a job to finish up my career. Which brings me to this, station identification, which is something I'm doing to fill this time, to begin to get some creative juices flowing. While I take a metaphoric weed whacker to uncover other creative tracks that I have. I've broken out Photoshop and working on a couple images that I have rolling in my head. I can't retire yet, but I will within the next couple of years be right back here at this point when I can retire. And I want to not have to start cold in 2 years, 3 years from now. That the artist within, even if it's only for myself, has had an opportunity to knock the rust off and has started limbering up. So when it is time, I will be more than ready again. So just a bit of personal, more personal than before. As far as other things that are going to come up on this channel, I don't know. At one point, I thought about writing a book about, what would be good films to watch to get a good handle on the 20th century, on films, to go watch these 100 or so films, 200 films, and you can handle, conversations about films or what have you. That might be something I'll talk about here. The whatever notes I had for that book might become a few videos. I don't know. It could happen. So could things about some interesting things about the AFI top 100 list that I thought were interesting, or a personal favorite, the National Film Registry. I have some thoughts on that too. So some videos will be coming about on those, but it's all towards the pack of being creative, of putting this out there. So again, this is John, and this is Station Identification.